Good evening, everybody. My name is Julio Baron, and I'm a master's student in the criminal justice program. I'll be talking about the three questions that we were instructed to do. Currently, right now, I have a lot of knowledge of these type of questions, and I have been investigating research about these type of things over the years, from my bachelor's degree all the way into like a couple classes I've had in grad school. I'm currently a recruit of in the police academy that I'm in right now. I'm actually in been training this whole time, so I kind of know a little bit of this type of stuff. First of all, why do I think law enforcement has been criticized over the years? Well, due to the police brutality that's happened throughout the years, that's happened to people, and what society sees on media, like the news, videos that are uploaded on social media places like Snapchat, Facebook, or any other social gathering where people see things, and it just kind of like gives a really bad reputation of the people that see it. It literally takes one person to ruin the reputation for any police department that it shows. For example, kind of like the the riots that happened in Ferguson, Missouri. That is still being talked about to this day. Um, this is when police and protesters clashed in the aftermath of a fatal police violence against unarmed black men in Ferguson, Missouri, and Baltimore and Maryland. And also, uh, it was the fatal shooting of Michael Brown, and so some things that have happened in long ago, kind of like the Ronnie King, when he was brutally beaten by police officers from LA, and that's how the LA riots began due to those things. And other names that have happened throughout the past is like Terrence Crutcher, like that happened here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That there was a bunch of protests that were happening, so it just kind of like gave it gave the whole law enforcement, a really bad name, for everybody. And social media, it did reveal a big problem. It was not ignored, so it kind of like made everything very bad for everyone. So like activist groups like Black Lives Matter become a thing. Blue Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter came up due to these incidents to help out the black community to go to do peaceful protests. Kind of like how the legacy of Martin Luther King uh, during the movements, the civil rights movements back in the '60s. Um, it kind of like they kind of Black Lives Matter kind of got his idea to do the same thing now. To like it's everyone's able to protest because it's their right. So that's why this became a thing to help out these people and to give justice for these individuals where some of these incidents they didn't receive justice, so that's why these protests happen and give everyone a bad name. So media just continues to be a bad thing. Blue lives matter came up to like protect up police officers, because being a police officer you have to put your life on the line on an everyday basis. My superiors that helped me during my training uh, told me the meaning of it and what the organization means to be a police officer. It's the thin blue line between you and the community, and then the bad people that are there. We're here to protect and serve, but the job itself it's risky in general. Uh, the second question is like, what measures or policies do you think police decision makers should initiate to attempt to address the criticisms? Well, not that long ago, it's actually a new technology that's became a thing for the department I work for. It they started wearing police started wearing body cams to show what they really see in front of them when they encounter any type of incident, even if it's just a traffic stop or a voluntary contact or high risk stops or entering a household of any sort, to to protect themselves, because everyone writes reports to see what happens during the incident that they encountered during the job, but it's actually also to give evidence to others to show that they didn't do anything wrong and they did the job right, So incidents, kind of like the riots that happen and the shootings, you never people like us on in the media, you see what's going on from like a helicopter aspect, like from the sky, people don't know what's really happened, so they assume just because the news tells them something else, and then it was a wrongdoing, and then all these things happen. That actually helps out from not getting criticized from people. It's like police officers are actually just doing their job and protecting themselves from getting hurt, and then giving themselves the right to do what they need to do. Because sometimes escalation of force is like, yes, you could go hands on, you could take out a taser or your mace or whatever, but like at some point it's going to become a very dangerous time, where people are going to have weapons all the time, especially here in Oklahoma, where everyone has a gun now, entirely because of the new law that's coming up, that passed. So sometimes you just have to use deadly force. It's a thing police officers have to decide in seconds. So the camera is there to like show that evidence is like that person just stuck a gun now, and gave him the right to like use deadly force on that person to protect themselves, but also the community and the people that are around them, to protect others. Uh, Other things that the police could do is cultural awareness training, to kind of help out, to kind of tell everyone's story with like the different cultures from like Hispanic, Black culture, African American, to Native American culture, the different tribes, uh, Asian people, and just Arabs and any other type of ethnic group out there, to kind of like show like how they represent themselves and how they function and how they think, So everyone has to give a different aspect. So a good thing about that is like there's police officers that are of a different race, so they could probably like be an example for that and be able to like kind of tell their story and how they could help out the police department itself to help others. Volunteering events throughout the community could shows awareness that they care, and then that they're not all bad people. They're there to serve and protect the community where they are placed and where they patrol. So it's a good thing, kind of like show themselves out, and like help others. Maybe they have a couple questions or they just want to get to know them. So it's a good thing. Police officers of color should represent their communities and have certain meetings with like places to go talk to them, or what, like kind of like telling them what's going on in the streets and try to help them out to stop crime. So for example, like my church, we had a police officer come talk to us about issues going on in the streets, and then that police are there for us, to protect us. And then if we ever knew anything, that we just contact police officers with like a hint or a tip, to help others, So it's a good thing. Um, and the police are just there to help, like also there's resource police officers that go to schools, and that's their place where they stay. They're like a role model to the students to help the kids not commit any criminal acts, or like, for example, like join a gang or do anything bad, like not get in fights. They're just there to be like a role model to them and help them out in any way, and to protect the school as well from harm from the outside. Last question is, given that there are so many anonymous law enforcement agencies in the U.S., that might be done to encourage police agencies to develop and adopt policies that are evidence-based. The term evidence-based is part of a language of policymaking, and several organizations are working hard to promote the use of these proven programs designed particularly in the area of juvenile justice and behavioral health. There's special units in the police department I'm part of that help out with homeless. You know, they're designated to those areas where they help the homeless, so give them shelter, give them food, you know, or give them a place to stay, you know, give them the resources they need, you know, like to better their life and get out the streets and then get a job, you know. There's gang units that kind of like stop the crime, uh, get gangs out of the street, you know, units that deal with sexual crimes and trafficking, which is a big thing here in Oklahoma due to the highway system. And there's programs for everything else, you know, like there's always something that the police department can do, you know. Police department is are gonna be like criticized more daily now due to the generation that exists now. But I think it's getting a little bit better due to like the different things that police departments are doing. And right now I'm training now to be a good police officer and be a role model to others, you know, especially for the Hispanic community, you know. So I'm doing my best to continue on my training and be able to learn more in this class to like better everything. Thank you again for listening to me, and if you have any questions, just give a comment or send a video. Um, and hopefully everyone has a good rest of the semester. Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye.